Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome in. Baseball and Coffee, 10:31 on Halloween. It's Halloween, spooky time today, Friday, October 31st. Hopefully you guys can hear me better today. Yeah, there it is. It was delayed.
Oh,
You didn't
yeah,
just
yeah.
hear it? Yeah. All right. So that seems like it's working. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Happy Halloween. Doing
We're
anything
working on
special
our
for Halloween?
jobs.
We're working on some things right now.
But it's gonna be cozy.
I fixed the mic. How about that?
Can they hear you different?
Yeah, people are saying they can hear the
Really?
mic today. Sounds good. All right. Thank goodness. Today is game 6 preview day.
You're supposed to have your costume on.
I don't have my costume on yet because it's not Halloween trick-or-treating time, but later today.
Tell them what you're gonna be.
Superman. They saw yesterday. They saw.
He looks like Superman.
Do 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 do
You
do
look
do
like
do do.
Superman.
So we're gonna do some Superman stuff later. Archie is a fire truck.
Cookie Monster.
And then also a Cookie Monster. Bradley's a Cookie Monster. Oakley decided she wanted to be herself today. She's got 5 costumes, but she decided she wanted to be herself.
Which
So
is awesome.
anyway, that's awesome, but that's where we're at.
I'm Aurora.
All right, what do I take in my coffee? Nothing. It's black. Today, earlier, I went and bought a coffee after school drop-off from this place, Raphael's in Connecticut, and then I came back and I just kept the cup, put my Pebble Ice in there, double espresso. Today we are drinking, what is it? Man, I had it written down. I think it's actually in the description. Yeah, what am I? I can't see it right now. All right, anyway, we're here for the Game 6 preview. So, thanks. Being yourself is hard. I think my daughter would agree with that. Anyway, we are here for the Game 6 preview, so let's just do it. Let's do it. Can the Blue Jays win the title tonight? Can the Dodgers extend to Game 7? It's a big question. 68% of people, I believe, that win Game 5 go on to win the series, but it leaves plenty of room to not win the series. So anything can happen. Anything can happen. We will do some research. We will watch a little bit of how Yamamoto attacked these guys last time, how Gausman attacked the Dodgers last time, and we'll try to get a feel for maybe some adjustments they may make today. There's my wife talking about my daughter today, being herself for Halloween when it was all said and done.
We're so proud.
So we're proud anyway, because what's better than being yourself, really, at the end of the day? Okay. So let's go ahead and let's get into today's research packet. This is actually from yesterday, but it has a lot of good, juicy information about this game coming up. These are on these dates a few years ago from yesterday, so those don't really matter today. Stats to know: this will be the first time in MLB history that a season starts and ends outside of the U.S. The Dodgers will be in both. They started the season in Japan versus the Cubs this year. Yeah, MLB. MLB knows what's up. Says nothing better than being yourself.
That's right.
Would I like to see a Game 7? We'll see. And the conclusion of the season this year is the Blue Jays in Canada versus the Dodgers as well. Savage, we talked about him a lot yesterday and the day before. His 12 Ks set the single season game rookie record in the World Series. His 12 strikeouts were the most by any pitcher in the World Series who didn't walk a batter. So that's really good. Savage's 23 whiffs were the most in any World Series game since tracking began in 2008. The Blue Jays have now scored 100 runs in the postseason. So far, any team that's scored 100 runs in a postseason has won the World Series. That bodes really well for Toronto. They have an opportunity to add on some more runs today. But that's an interesting stat. If you can get to a certain threshold offensively, you win the series the majority of the time. Ernie Clement's 11-game hitting streak is only one shy of the Blue Jays franchise record for a single postseason, which was Pat Borders in 1992 with 12. This is a good question right off the gate here by Boring Pool. Realistically, how much power is Springer going to be able to generate off this oblique injury? Is he worth having in the lineup in spite of that? I have no idea because every oblique injury is different. They're not all the same. The severity, what he's feeling. I think it's a good sign that he's been hitting and that they're saying he's checking every box. And I don't think they would put him in there if he was going to be useless. So he'll probably be able to do something. I do think his presence in the lineup is definitely going to help in general. You know, he's a really good player. So I think getting him in there, if they think he's healthy enough to be in there, it's probably a good thing. But the severity is hard to tell. It was interesting to me that he took himself right out of the game the other day. He didn't even hesitate. He didn't try to fight it at all. He came right out. So that made me think it was pretty severe, but we don't have any of that information. So we'll figure that out. If the Jays win the series, the post-game or next day stream is going to be packed with their fans. Might be a good time to drop the merch then. That's really soon, though. That could be tomorrow. We're working on some things. All right, here we go. The Dodgers seek to avoid losing a World Series for an MLB record 15th time in franchise history. They're currently tied with the Yankees with 14 empty trips to the World Series. Dodgers relievers have allowed 12 of 21 inherited runners to score, 57%. That ties the 87 Cards and the 2018 Dodgers for the most inherited runs scoring in a single World Series. That's definitely been a big thing. They were chasing a little bit in Game 5. They go to Enriquez, which I predicted that he would pitch in that game, except he didn't get anybody out. So, yeah, the relief corps, you know, I think it's become such a narrative at this point that it's almost leaking into the heads of maybe some of these Dodgers relievers at this point. Everybody thinks that they're the weak link. And honestly, maybe it's been the lineup that's been a little bit of the weak link. But they have also allowed 12 of 21 inherited runners, which is not going to cut it this time of year. They allowed just 4 of 25 inherited runners to score in the first 3 postseason rounds. This is such an underrated stat. If a reliever's coming in with guys on base, it's for good reason. You know, it's the manager likes the matchup. He's trying to shut this inning down right here, and this is his move to get to post a 0. You know, otherwise he would have just left a pitcher in there who was already pitching. So they make the move because they think it's the good move strategically. And ultimately, this defines a lot of winning and losing in close games in the postseason. 4 of 25 is outstanding. The Dodgers roll through those other matchups. This one, they're 12 of 21, so that's not great. 24 of 47 runs in the World Series have come via home run. That's 51%. The Dodgers have scored 9 of 18, so 50% for them. And believe it or not, the Blue Jays have scored 15 of their 29 runs via homer. Now, I think this is a little bit of a misleading stat in that, you know, Barger hit a grand slam, so it's like 1 home run accounted for 4 runs, and it doesn't give any credit to the 3 guys grinding their way on base before that, whether it's walk, hit by pitch, hit, whatever. So, I don't know. You can interpret this 2 different ways. You can say the Blue Jays are beating the Dodgers at their own game, or you can just say, you know, they've been making a lot of shit happen, and they've hit some home runs at some opportune times, which is more the way I look at it. You know, Kirk had a 3-run homer. Barger had a grand slam. Those are very opportune times to hit home runs with guys on base. And this is coming up, Game 6, where weird shit happens. All right. The only series in which both teams scored at least 50% of their runs via homers were 57, 17, and 24. So not very often that this happens. Honestly, that's why the Blue Jays are winning with small ball thing is a little silly. They're also slugging like crazy and wouldn't be here if they weren't. I think the point is that you can do both. I think that's the point. The point is that you can be a contact team and hit for average and get on base. You can also have an element of power in your game, and that they're both important. And I actually think it's really good to affect good pitching and undermine good pitching with a diverse approach. If you just have all the same approach, it allows a pitcher to lean on one thing or another thing and kind of navigate the whole lineup. But when you have a diversity of approach, sometimes it's really hard to navigate. Just go ask Blake Snell. He struggled with it a little bit this year. You know, not knowing whether they're going to grind him out or whether they're going to hit home runs. They've kind of beat him both ways in the 2 different games, different ways. So I think it's a little tough to face. Okay, what else we got? Teams are 29-5 in this postseason. Okay, whatever. I'm tired of the home run nonsense. The Blue Jays are 8-0 this season without homering. We got it. Freddie Freeman's 20-game postseason on base streak passed Chris Taylor for the longest in Dodgers history. Freeman's streak dates back to Game 1 of the 2024 World Series. I think Freddie's one of the few guys that's actually looking pretty good at the plate right now for the Dodgers. His swing looks pretty good. His approach looks pretty good. I mean, he got abused by Savage as well, but I think Freddie's in a decent spot swing-wise. Dodgers versus Blue Jays 2025 World Series hitting statistics. Dodgers are hitting 201, 296, 354, 8 homers, 55 strikeouts. Jays 261, 341, 389, 7 homers, 44 strikeouts. So you see the difference there. They're hitting for 60 points higher in average, which equates to about 50 points higher in on base. They're also slugging a bit better. And they've ultimately scored more runs. How many more? 11 more runs. That's the only stat that really matters is runs. Like, you can talk about style points, how you do it, but the Jays have 29 runs and the Dodgers have 18. The 11 less strikeouts is also a part of that as well. 11 less punchies and more at-bats shows you that putting the ball in play has worked out. And then yesterday there was a little bit of not shocking, but a little bit of a hiring that people weren't maybe expecting as the Nats hired Blake Butera, who's 33, to be the manager of the Nats. These are notable players that are older than that right now. Verlander, Scherzer, Kershaw, Freeman, Springer, Trout, Yelich, and Judge. It's funny because I can relate to that dynamic a little bit, having been older than 2 of my pitching coaches, having faced a lot of managers around the league. It just kind of happens when you get older. But 33, good for this dude. 33, manager of a big league club. That's pretty freaking cool, man. Okay, now let's get down to the usage. All right. So for the Jays, you can kind of throw out pretty much anything prior to Game 4 really mattering. I know they all pitched in Game 3, but who's going into Game 6 feeling fresh? Obviously, the starter Gausman. Scherzer should be available now, I would say, in the bullpen. He's had 3 days off, so Scherzer should be available in the bullpen. Bieber, possibly as well, but definitely for Game 7 if they go there. All right, Fluharty's had 2 days off. He's good. Dominguez threw 13 pitches, and now he'll have 1 day off. He's fine. Fisher's totally good. He's had 3 days off in a row. Bassett should be fine. He had a day off. He had 2 days off. So he'll have 2 days off coming into tonight. He'll be fine. Lauer's good. Varland's fine. Finally, they didn't pitch Varland in the game. Can you believe that? And Hoffman's fine, and Little's fine. So every single person is good on the Jays except for Savage and maybe Bieber. So that's a good place to be. They'll have full usage of their pen, and they have their ace on the mound tonight in Gausman. For the Dodgers, Snell, this was important. Like, this was underrated. You know, he's the losing pitcher of the game, but he goes 6 2/3, 116 pitches in Game 5. That was important because they were chasing in this game, so he found a way to basically soak up as much of it as he can. He pitches into 2 outs into the 7th, and that makes them only have to pitch Bonda and Trinan and Enriquez as well the rest of the way. So they don't use Glass now, who should be coming around and available. Ohtani will probably be roughly available today or Game 7. If it's today, it would be a little bit. Sheehan's back and good. Banda's pitched a lot, but not super effectively, so I don't think he'd be in there anyway unless it was a perfect matchup. Robleski's back in the mix. Klein, Will the Thrill Klein should be back. That animal off of his 4-inning, 72-pitch performance in Game 3, that was heroic. Trinan should be fine. He'll have a day off. He has pitched in 3. He pitched in all 3 in L.A., but they're relatively light. Dryer's probably back. Sasaki is definitely in there. And then Kershaw's fine. And even Enriquez, who they probably don't trust anymore. So, I don't know. Everybody's kind of reloaded, relocked and loaded in terms of energy and arm health and everything for this game. But there's been some exposure. Facing a reliever 3 times in the postseason. The opponents have hit 245, 336, 426 with 4 home runs, 11 walks, 22 strikeouts. Not as bad as I would have thought. You would have thought it would have been even more drastic than this. But those numbers are definitely higher, a little bit higher than where they were, probably times 1 and 2 through the lineup. And then who's going to be behind the plate today will be Hamari. Adam Hamari will be behind the plate today. If it goes to game 7, it'll be Jordan Baker, who I mentioned the other day was somebody that I came up with in the minor leagues. Jordan Baker was pretty much an umpire every stop along the way that I played baseball. All right, so we'll keep going in a second, but let me take a peek at the chat. Well, it's true. If Klein pitches, it won't be against the Jays bench players this time around. That's true. But, you're bringing in a guy who's got a lot of confidence in general. So it's just nice to have another option. Glasnow is definitely the presumed Game 7 starter as of now. Of course, Ohtani's lurking. They could do an opener. They could do a lot of different things. We will see. What else we got here? How did I feel about Snell's comments? I get it. Nobody wants to hear it. I remember when I was with the Mets and we beat up Spencer Strider one time in 2022 with a bunch of cheap hits and, putting the ball in play. And he had many of the same comments. They're getting lucky. I didn't really pitch poorly. It was more of a luck thing, yada, yada, yada. And you know what? There's an element of truth to it. There is. And as a pitcher, sometimes you can only control so much. I think that fresh out of the game, pitchers are trying to rationalize what happened out there sometimes. And I think in this case, like with Snell, he felt like he executed his game plan the way he wanted to. He pitched all the way into the 7th. He got clipped on 2 fastballs in, but that was part of the plan. So he feels a little bit like, it's pretty hard for me to give up 2 home runs on my first 3 fastballs of the game. So there's an element of unluckiness there. But I think you got to give the credit to the Blue Jays. Like, regardless of how it happens, it happened. The Blue Jays found a way to get the runs. So I get it. I get his comments, but you have to take them with a grain of salt. There's no reason to get mad about it. The Blue Jays are the winning team. So that's just kind of how it is. People take the comments personally at times, and I get that. But we don't have to worry about it because Blake Snell's not pitching till next season now, and he can feel any way he wants to feel. He was pretty good this postseason. Ultimately, the Blue Jays were a tough matchup for him, is how it ended up playing out. All right, let's keep it moving over here. Let's hit on a little bit more of these notes. Blue Jays are 1 win away from their 3rd franchise World Series. They won back-to-backs in 92, 93, as we know. There have been 30 instances of teams up 3-2 and playing Game 6 at home. Those teams have won Game 6 16 times and the series 22 times. So that's 73.3%. So that's with this current playoff format and then a team coming here at home. 73% of the time they have won. To me, that just says the series is not over. 73 is not even close to 90 or anything. So 26.7% chance that you could lose both of these games. We've seen it. I remember 2019, Nationals won both games on the road in Houston to take down the Astros, who felt unbeatable at that time. So there's a lot of stuff. That can happen here. Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat here, Snell saying he'd be ready out of the pen. Never know. Okay, maybe. I love the enthusiasm. I just assumed after 116 pitches, they were kind of like, you've done your job. All right. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. slashing 415, 506, 831 with 8 home runs, 15 RBIs in 16 games this postseason. 12 walks and 5 strikeouts. He is owning the postseason right now. Crazy ownage. What's that OPS? That's 1237 OPS for the postseason, where everybody knows that you're the guy not to get beat, not to get beat by. And yet he's doing this anyway. Arozarena is the only player who had more hits, home runs, or total bases in a single postseason than Vlad, and we know Randy went crazy in that 2020 playoffs. Vlad looks to become the 5th player in the wild card era of 95 to homer in 3+ straight games in a single World Series. He would join Freddie, George Springer, Barry Bonds, and Ryan Kleska. Do players read or care about all those statistics? No. But it's different when you're a player. It's different when you're a player. You're locked in on your process and what you're doing.
You care about every statistic.
Yeah, I cared about the statistics that mattered in terms of me playing. But right now, we're not talking about a player. We're talking about what to look out for tonight. All right? That's it as a fan.
No one cares about that. I'm busy looking at Christmas trees.
Okay. Blue Jays aren't ruling out a return from Springer, right? Oblique. He hit in the cage, did some running. Again, we don't know a lot about that situation. And it's all individual. Not every oblique is created the same, like every injury. Mine was very slight when I had mine, but I've seen dudes that can't do anything for months.
Did you tell them how you hurt your
Yeah, I told them how I hurt my oblique. It was sneeze. Well, trying to hold back a sneeze because I was worried about your precious little slumber that you and Bradley needed on the road.
How many days were you
I was
out?
trying to be a considerate husband.
And how many days are you out?
17.
Yeah.
Yeah, 17 days.
Sneezing.
Although it probably saved me, Brett, because that year Bud Black decided to try to break me, and it threw 75 games in the regular season with like 80 innings pitched or whatever. And
what year was that?
And playoff games, 2018.
But that was a good year.
That was a great year, but imagine if I pitched another 5 or 6 games.
Lab year.
That was post lab. That's the best year.
Yeah.
But imagine if I had another 5 or 6 games.
So you're welcome for the lab, and you're welcome for saving you.
All right, so it's all you. I'll give you credit. Sneezes can be dangerous. This lifted hurt his back in his sleep. So anyway, for Springer, Toradol can help with the pain, but it's still going to be weak and limiting. The right move is really to put him back at the top of the lineup, especially if it puts Bo back in right field. Is that the right move? I like the idea of Springer starting, which it looks like is the case. I like the idea of Springer starting and being in that leadoff spot just because there's that threat of him right out the gate of like going deep, being ready. I love that dynamic, especially in the top of the first inning, But if he's not healthy, he's not healthy. So that's the bottom line, is you have to figure that out. All right. Pilar strained an oblique with a sneeze in 2015, surprisingly common. Those sneezes, you really got to watch out for those things. If Springer hits a bomb tonight, the Sky Dome is going to explode. I totally agree. Totally agree with that. Dodgers have scored just 3 runs and walked 5 times in the last 2 games since their 18-inning victory. Yeah, I think this is more of the story. The Blue Jays pitching has been shutting down the Dodger offense. Bieber was tremendous in a must-win game that people didn't expect him to win. He came out and did it, was able to pass the baton to Savage, and we all know what he did. We know it's Rogers Center, but it's still Sky Dome a lot of times in this chat. Sorry, guys. We still talk about Rogers, but Sky Dome is OG. Besides drugs, what do? Tape a brace? You put a lot of hot stuff over it to kind of numb the feeling. There's a machine called the H-Wave, which is like a blue stim unit. And what those leads do when they attach them to a muscle group is they actually put a signal in there that's supposed to numb you. So he walks around with that H-Wave on all day and kind of numbs the area. Literally, like, takes some of the pain away that way. On top of that, you got drugs. On top of that, you got hot shit. And then on top of that, maybe they can tape you up a little bit, but ultimately, you don't want to restrict a person's ability to rotate or use their core during a game. So that would be my my suggestion. Dano's suggesting whiskey. That's a different suggestion, but we'll see. Some people might go there. Some people wouldn't. There's been some famous postseason drinking before. Sky Dome, before corporations took over stadium names. It's true. I will not be going to Game 7 if it gets there. All right, let's keep it moving. Shohei is slashing 316, 500, 895 with 3 home runs and 5 ribs during the World Series, and the rest of the Dodgers are 188, 268, 294 with 5 homers and 12 RBIs. He did have one of the 3 hard hit balls off of Savage too, showing that he's still right. He's still locked in. I feel like in a way, but the Blue Jays have pitched him really tough. They've thrown a lot of balls up and in. They've been able to get him to chase below, make him a little uncomfortable. He did crush that one line drive to right field off of Savage. What does cheating on a fastball mean? Yeah, that's no problem. I can answer that really easily. What cheating means on a fastball is basically anticipating a fastball. Usually, you're required to anticipate a fastball if it's a certain speed. So if it's like above 95, you're not going to be able to just sit there and wait to identify the pitch and say, oh, gee, it's a fastball. I better swing now. The ball's moving too fast, you know? So you have to anticipate, but what we would call is cheat, which means like you're doing something that technically you shouldn't be doing. You should be staying balanced in the zone, in the box. But if you're looking for a pitch in, that might require you to cheat, which is like giving yourself a head start, starting your timing early to hopefully beat that fastball to the spot. So that's what we call cheating to the spot. Maybe cheating is a bad word, but that's the term that's always used in and around baseball. So I hope that answered your question. Not going to Game 7, to quote Canadian Bieber, never say never. I'm not going to, though. I'm definitely not.
Never say never. Do you think he was wearing a Bieber jersey?
He was wearing
Bieber.
He was wearing a Shane Bieber jersey. I was in the suite with him.
So it wasn't for him.
No, it's just like it's a beautiful coincidence. So he leaned into that.
So you understand why, though?
He's Canadian. There is a Shane Bieber.
I didn't know there was a Shane Bieber. I thought everyone was.
Yeah. You didn't know about Shane Bieber.
I thought all the comments were how excited they were that Justin Bieber was.
But Shane Bieber was pitching.
I did not know.
So it all lined up.
Yes, now I understand.
Now you get it?
Yep.
All right, good. All right. Mookie. Oh, wait, hold on. Timeout. There's more information here. The Dodgers switched up that lineup in Game 5. They put Will Smith to the 2 spot, Mookie back to the 3rd spot, Freddie hitting 4th. I didn't like this lineup change at all. I wanted them to put Mookie in front of Shohei. To me, if you're terrified of pitching to Shohei, you need to get somebody in front of him that can maybe get on base or can hit a ball down the middle. Right now, the bottom of the order is doing nothing for the Dodgers. Pages and Call have been a black hole down there, and you need to get somebody on to flip the lineup over for Shohei if he's batting leadoff. I understand wanting Shohei to bat leadoff at the beginning of the game to kind of jumpstart the offense with your best hitter first position, but I'd like to have Mookie hitting in front of Shohei. Get him some pitches to hit, man. They've been nibbling on the outside corner. He's pressing a little bit, especially when they walk Shohei in front of him. I think I would have went the other direction. I would have put Mookie to lead off, but that's not what they did. They went with that different lineup change. The 2 moves were Will Smith into the 2-hole. To me, doesn't look like he's swinging it very well unless the pitch is way inside right now, which is a weird place to be. And then they also put Call in the game, which I supported. He went 0 for 2 with 1 walk in Game 5. Kike moved over to center, and Pages was relegated to the bench. But it's just more so the Will Smith thing. I don't think Will Smith has had the most consistent at-bats of the series. Now, that's my personal opinion. We can dig into that more today. I know he hit that home run off of Gausman the last time, but that pitch was in off the plate. So that was my personal opinion. There was also other alternate options such as Miggy Rowe or Kim, but I don't think those guys are good enough hitters to make a difference. All right, let's keep going. As for Mookie, he's only hitting 143, 265, 167, which is 6 for 42 with a double and 8 strikeouts in his last 10 games. So he's definitely struggling, no doubt about it, but you're never going to give up. You're never going to give up on Mookie Betts. Now, this is a factor as well. Muncy. I felt like Muncy was the one guy in this lineup outside of Shohei or Freddie that could really make a big difference in terms of controlling the zone, not chasing. Hasn't been the case. He's been struggling as well. 115, 233, 269 in his last 7 games. So Betts and Muncy are a big reason why their offense has been struggling. For sure. All right. A starter for tonight for the Dodgers, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, coming off of 2 straight complete games. He allowed 1 run, struck out 8 in 9 innings in Game 2. They won 5-1. Only 3 pitchers in the divisional era, which is 1969 and on, have 3 straight complete games in a postseason. I didn't even know there would be any that had that. Kurt Schilling had 3-01 with the Diamondbacks, Orel Hershiser 3-88 with the Dodgers, and Tiant 3-75 probably with the Red Sox. Jays hitters were combined 0 for 16 against Yoshi's curveball. and then 0 for 6 against the splitter. So we'll talk about it in a minute. But first time through the order, Yoshi was big on splitters. Like he was like almost 70% split. Second time through the order, he's downshifted into a curveball mode. Went 2 speeds down, got a ton of outs on the curveball. And then by the time the third and the fourth times came around, he was kind of able to read all the hitters really well and mix it up. It was masterful pitching. I have a whole video on it if you want to watch it. The curveball and splitter have been the key pitches for Yamamoto this entire postseason. Curveball 0.87 average, 2 hits allowed. Splitter 130 average, 3 hits allowed. So that's how it's been going so far. But as is noted by Only the Clouds, who's clearly a Dodgers fan, Yamamoto is a human, and hopefully tonight they will figure him out. They could figure him out, no doubt about it. They're getting a second look at him. He is going to pitch to contact a little differently than Snell's capable of, or Glasnow, or even Shohei. So that's why I love his matchup versus the Jays relative to the other starters. But you get to see him again, put some balls in play, and we'll see what happens. And this is a good reminder about Yoshi in big games. Even dating back to Japan, he was a friggin' boss in this situation. He threw a 136-pitch complete game in Game 6 of the Japan Series, the last year before he got posted. All right, Yamamoto is, did I analyze, there's a quick question here on his loss against the Phillies. If you remember, he gave up an absolute moonshot to Schwarber like the 3rd or 4th inning. Something about that kind of rattled him, and he lost his command for a minute. Yamamoto's big thing is command. Obviously, he's got good pitches, but his command is impeccable. Once his command went away, they kind of broke him a little bit, and that got him out of the game. But you look at the 6 starts leading up to that, and then the 3 since then, or the 2 since then, and they've all been unbelievably lights out. So I choose to pay attention to the bigger sample size there. All right, Gausman on the other side allowed 3 earned runs in 6 2/3 and took the loss on the Jays in Game 2. He struck out 6 without a walk. He was clipped for 2 home runs there at the very end of his outing that kind of separated it. Gausman's splitter this postseason, 0.56 average, so 2 hits off his splitter. So we mentioned Yamamoto splitter, but Gausman splitter has been just as effective as well. It's got a 52% whiff rate, so even more swing and miss in there. Dodgers in general are just 1-22 against the splitters during this World Series. Their only hit off the splitter was Freddie Freeman's double against Gausman in Game 2. So you Savage and Gausman, splitter city, that's been working out really well. We're not going to recap Game 5 because we already did that. This is every Canadian that's ever played in the World Series. The most recent ones: Vlad, Axford, Dempster, Stairs, Francis, Gagne, Walker. Don't care about Canadians during the World Series. Here's where we're at with the World Series MVP race right now. Vlad is probably the betting favorite, I would imagine. He's hitting 8 for 22, 364 with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs so far. Homered in the last 2 games. He also has a 500 on base percentage, so he's definitely the front runner. BetMGM has him at minus 200. I hate talking about betting. Trey is Savage, also in the running after his outing, which I wouldn't doubt. And then Kirk, 6 for 18 with 2 home runs. He has the most RBIs. He'd be a sneaky pick as well. Barger's got good numbers, but I'd be shocked if Barger was named MVP. Shohei would be one of the other guys on the list, obviously. 4 for 4, 2 home runs. He got on base 9 times in 1 game. He did lose on the mound, though. But obviously, if this series gets flipped, I actually imagine Yamamoto might be the guy. If he goes out there and shoves today, I think that would be a big boost to his chances. Freddie's 5 for 20, but there's a chance that he could add to that. So that's kind of where we're at with that. All right, let's get into this matchup tonight. Yamamoto's the first pitcher we're going to look at. I'm going to read this stuff, and then I'm going to switch over. We're going to watch a little bit of how he did it, and then we'll look at Gausman, and we'll switch over, and then we'll get some more thoughts. All right. Yamamoto has arguably been the most dominant pitcher we've seen this postseason. He's one of just 2 pitchers in the wildcard era to throw consecutive CGs, along with Kurt Schilling. He retired the final 20 batters in Game 2 from one of the great finishes in postseason history. Most consecutive batters retired to end a postseason game. Obviously, Don Larson had 27 because he got them all out. Grover Cleveland, and then Yoshi. How has he done it? So here's been the pitch percentages in the postseason. He's been 31-ish% four seam, 25% split, 24% curve. So those have been the big three pitches. That really has never changed. Those are his big three pitches. But he also has 11% cutter, 7% sinker, and 3% slider. So you don't see a lot of sliders. He only broke them out a little bit in his CG, like third or maybe even fourth time through. But you see a ton of him kind of toggling between the low splitter, the curveball at the top or the bottom, and then that fastball at the top or the bottom, depending on what he needs. And really with pinpoint accuracy, whether it's in, out, up, or down, that's kind of the key with the fastball is the location. In terms of opposing average, curveball 087 has been the best, splitter at 130 second best, and four seam third best. So it makes sense. If these are your best pitches results-wise, you should throw them the most. Batters went a combined 0 for 16 against the splitter and curveball in Game 2. Here was the usage from that game. We noted it when we went over that game. He led with the splitter big time. It ended up being the most used pitch in that game, 32.4%. It was mostly that first time through the order. It'll be very interesting to see what he does tonight in contrast to this, or if he sticks with that plan. Four-seamer, 23.8. Then that curveball, which was massive in terms of his outgetting. You see that 0 for 10 on the curveball. 10 of his 27 outs came on curveballs. That's a huge share. It's a huge share. And you know why it's so effective? Look at the speeds of everything else. Splitter 91.4, four-seam 96.2, cutter 91.2, sinker 95.2, even the slider 88.3. So every one of those pitches is 88 or faster, and then the curveball is 77. So it's a tremendous change of pace, change of movement, ability to get you off of your timing and onto your front foot. And that's a big deal. Opposing hitters have been unable to slug against Yamamoto's off-speed and breaking pitches this season. Lowest opponent slugging on off-speed and breaking pitches in a single postseason since pitch tracking. Framber Valdez, 075 in 22. Cliff Lee, 100 in 2009. And then Yoshi, 104 in 25. Slightly ahead of Tanaka and Cole, respectively. This is nothing new. He had one of the best off-speed and breaking pitch repertoires in the regular season. Here are the numbers in the regular season by slug. He's right up there in the mix with Crochet, Wheeler, Snell, Gavin Williams. So he's right in the mix of the top few. Highest splitter usage in a game this season. March 18th, he went 40.3%. March 18th, so that must have been that first game in Japan. But other than that, the only times he got even above 30 are March 28th, May 2nd, and September 12th, along with World Series Game 2. So it's not something he always does, but he's got 5 examples of games where he went over 30% split. Blue Jays were the best hitting team against the splitter in the regular season, but they've struggled against it in the postseason. Regular season, they hit 275 on the split, only 121 in the postseason. I think that's more of a function of just how the pitchers who have the splitters that have faced them have mixed and matched and really located. All right, so that's it for that. Let's go ahead and dig in the way that I like to dig in a little more here. All right, so we're looking for Game 2. Jays, Dodgers, and Yamamoto. All right, so early in this game, a couple of key at-bats I want to hone in on. He goes double, gets clipped for a double here from Springer. That's one of the few mistakes he made in the middle of the plate all game. Also, Springer had some of the better at-bats versus Yoshi, which is even more reason for them to maybe try to get him in there. And then Lucas, he gets beat with a cutter up and in. So, starts the game off, fastball cutter, hit. And then he just stops messing around. Let's watch this whole at-bat versus Vlad. We've watched this a few times, but check out these splitters in these locations. That down and in spot. Such a tough spot to get to. Not only for swing and miss, but also if you're going to hit a splitter here, you're going to beat it in the ground almost every time. So let's watch how he progresses this at-bat with mostly a combination of splitters and fastballs inside. All right, 2-0. 2-0 split, gets him the swing over the top. And then he just peppers him with them for a little while until he speeds them up enough. Man, what a good pitch that is. So the question is, will Vlad cheat to this pitch at all? Will he look for a down and in split at some point? It's an awkward pitch to look at, but I could see him maybe going for it considering how many he got in this game. Here's another one. I mean, this at bat, he got 4 in a row on the inside part of the plate. So it's not just the action, it's the command. I mean, he's getting it right down and in. Vlad just survives it, but he speeds him up enough, and he reads the at-bat right, and then he unleashes a perfect curveball here and has Vlad way out front for the strikeout. So that was what he did that first time. That first time with Vlad. And then here's another curveball. Another trend was whenever he threw a pitch up in the zone, he would pair it with a curveball. Yep, 3-1 fastball up into Varsho. So whenever he did this in this game, when he elevated the heater, he loved to play curveball off of that. High heater to Varsho. And then curveball off that gets the freeze. And I've talked about why that works a little bit in the past. We'll just go over it again real quick. Look at the location of the fastball, height-wise. Looks like it's about right here. So what's that? Belly button height. And then the curveball starts higher, about elbow height. So the curveball pops above the fastball. You just saw a fastball that you were late on and under on. So you're telling yourself, I can't swing at anything any higher than that. That's my line. That's my limit. This ball pops above that line. If this was the other line, you see it pops above that. So he goes and gives up on it. And once you give up on this pitch, it just flops back in the zone for the take. So look out today for Yoshi to combine the high fastball with the curveball. Pretty much definitely throwing curveballs after high fastballs. If the Blue Jays are able to pick up on that, they might be able to get a pitch to hit if they anticipate properly. Also, here's another thing that he was able to do. Throw splitters down, down, down. And if he gets takes on them, especially ones that are tough takes, you see his reaction. If he thinks that the batter's giving him a tough take on a pitch down, just like a tough take on a pitch up means curveball, tough take on a pitch down means fastball down for the freeze. So just showed you how he just got 2 freezes. And when you're talking about a team that has a hard time swinging and missing, it's a hard team to get to swing and miss. How are you going to find strike 3? Well, sometimes you're going to have to find it with a freeze. Yoshi showing that he knows how to do that. And that's why it makes him a little bit of a better matchup than maybe some of the other guys that's not part of their game. And there's how that fastball plays up in the zone as he gets it to Lucas there. All right, so he used a lot of splitters, but he got his strikeouts pivoting off of the splitter for a little while. The mid game, it was all about the curveballs. This is actually a really good split here. Sorry, I'm going to keep going as we progress. He's still in split mode here in the third because this is yeah, that's how he ended the third. But watch starting in the 4th inning. 4th inning, he gets all his outs on curveballs. He goes into this, everything's hard. Okay, watch some slow stuff. Slow stuff to Ernie, gets him off balance. Only able to hit this ball 51 miles an hour. So there's 1 out on a curveball. Then Barger is going to get him to hit a curveball. One of the conversations that I was having about what it takes to get work through this Blue Jay lineup and get deep in the game is sometimes you're going to have to be okay with them hitting a ball semi-decent in the air, and you're going to have to hold your breath. But if you keep them a little bit off the barrel with that approach, they're going to get out a lot. So that's what happens here with Barger. He hits it decent, but 98.6 is not really a home run at 29 unless it's right down the line. So that's why that was effective contact to get. And then he also gets another out here with curveball from Kiner Falefa. So first time through, it's like a split. read the game off of the split attack, and then he starts going into early curveball mode. Okay, you guys want to be aggressive. You guys want to swing against me. Well, can you stay back on my curveball? And the answer was no for a little while. Everybody was so aggressive that they were swinging at his pitcher's pitches. Like, this is a 1-1 count. You think this is the pitch Kiner Falefa wants to put in play on 1-1? I say no. So let's look out for that. Toronto has been pretty good at occasionally switching into a more patient approach when they need to. But generally they're aggressive. So he used that against them there. And continuing that trend, he even got Springer out. This is the first time he gets Springer out all game, and it's on a 2-speed down curveball. So I'd be curious to see what the anticipation level is for the Jays. Are they anticipating him going to that curveball a lot? Because that's a pretty good pitch to hit if you're looking for it. If you're not looking for it, it's a nightmare. But if you're looking for it, you got a pretty good chance. And then as the game went on, here's another strikeout with a curveball. This is Kirk. So you see a lot of these outs in innings 4 through 6 were curveballs. Then after that, he goes completely kitchen sink. Now you don't know what's coming. He's got a much better sense of where each batter is, and he's able to just kind of start yo-yoing these dudes. Pretty nasty. Another out with a split. Here's a cutter. So he kind of went away from the cutter for a while until he got them off the scent of it. And then he started going back to the cutter. And this was another pitch that was useful for quick outs. Look at the location of this pitch. This is so ideal. If you're throwing a cutter first pitch to a lefty, you would love for them to swing at a pitch way up in here. And that's what he gets. At a certain point, they felt very reliably that Yoshi was going to throw strikes to them. So they're thinking, all right, stay aggressive. This is our chance to get something to hit, is that first pitch. But it didn't work out, and then it put him into a space where he was completely dominating them. Let's watch the entire 8th inning. This was his best inning, and this is when he was at the peak of his powers. First pitch, cutter. I mentioned how he went away from it for a while, and then he goes around and brings it back. But watch how you just don't know what's coming in this whole inning. First pitch, cutter. Second pitch, split off of that. Curveball here. Hold on, we have a quick question and a super chat or something here, I believe. Question: if Springer starts DH and Bo at second, could you later take out Springer, move Bo to DH, and then bring in IKF for defense? How do DH subs work? Maybe somebody in the chat knows better than me. I don't know enough about reentry rules. I don't think you can do that. Yeah, Mitch is saying Mitch is on it. You can't. Cannot move player and line up to DH spot. So that would be the that would be a no. So that I like the idea of it over here. This was the question from Chris. Thank you for the donation, of course. But unfortunately, you can't do that. So you're kind of stuck where you're at. Springer would stay at DH. And unless he couldn't continue in the game, they'd have to replace him with somebody else. And Bo, they've been getting him out for IKF on defense at the first chance they get. It feels like capitalizing on any early pressure is going to be the key tonight before he gets the opportunity to change the script on the hitters. All right, let's continue to watch this 8th inning. So wait, he started off, yeah, so he goes cutter, splitter, curveball, fastball. 4 different pitch types, first 4 pitches. He keeps you honest with this fastball. He's like, I've slowed you down, now I'm going to go heater. Of course, he'd like to get it a little more up, but you can see how Jimenez was, in fact, slowed down. And then just when you think he's not going to stay hard, he goes ahead and adjusts and throws it even higher. So he's worked the bottom part of the zone. My bad. Quick look at that delivery, though. Sick delivery. He's worked the bottom part of the zone, then he goes to the top part of the zone, and then here comes that curveball. This is one thing I'd be on the lookout for if I was a hitter, particularly a lefty hitter. I'd be on the lookout for when he elevates the heater against me, I might anticipate curveball next pitch. I might look terrible doing this, but he's shown a propensity to do it over and over again. He did it 3 or 4 times in this game. Almost every time that he got into that sequence, that's how he finished it up. So maybe maybe you check it out and you try to anticipate it, but you see how it was effective when you're just trying to hit straight up. It doesn't work. So there's a strikeout there, and then he ends up punching out Springer. Here's a slider. Literally didn't use the slider the whole game, but can break it out here in the 8th inning. Slider, curveball. You don't see a lot of right-on-right curveball, so doing things that are a little different. And then split. So slider, curveball, split, fastball. So once again, he was a little bit more predictable early in the game. He was definitely leaning on one pitch or another a little bit more. It was mostly split, then it was mostly curveball. But by the time he got to the end of the game, he's just obliterating you with a complete mix. Each batter he faced in the 8th inning saw 4 different pitch types on the first 4 pitches. Then here's Lucas. Split, strike. 4-seam, up. Dotted, perfect location. Curveball, hit, another fastball up, curveball. Just misses. And then 4-seam down. Paint. I mean, you're talking an absolute freaking Zen Master, Jedi Knight level of pitching here. But that was when he was really at the full peak of his powers. You don't want to let him get to this point. Now, I know that analytics always talks about 3rd time through the order penalty, 4th time through the order penalty, but for the truly great players, the truly great pitchers, typically, from my experience, you got to get them at the beginning of the game when they're a little more vulnerable, when they're not maybe quite as sharp and they don't have as great of a feel for your approach against them in their lineup and what they have that day. You know, once a guy like at this level gets rolling downhill, he's getting out after out after out, and he's able to start seeing his way through this lineup, it's almost too much to stop it. So I don't totally agree that the deeper you get in this game, the better shot you have at Yoshi. I think you got a shot at him maybe early, but you better capitalize. You better capitalize. So that was the 8th inning. Obviously, he finished it off in the 9th inning. And yeah, that's kind of how that went. I ended up watching the entire game, trying to think who the key hitter and some of the key hitters in the Toronto lineup are today versus Yamamoto. Let's just go let's watch all the at-bats versus the guys immediately surrounding Vlad. So let's watch all the at-bats versus Lucas, just to get a little bit of an idea of some of these guys early. So Lucas gets a first pitch single on a cutter, first time up. Second time up, he strikes him out, but let's watch the whole sequence. So he started with a cutter. First at bat goes right to split this time. Strike. 4-seam up. All right, so there's definitely a game plan to attack him in this region. But since he got a hit in that region the first time, oh, shoot. I'm sorry, you guys. But since he got a hit in this region the first time, they had to set the trap a little bit better. He started with the splitter down away. This is at bat number 2. He gets into this area here for a strike. Nice pitch. Then he comes up and in. So he doesn't go straight to it, but he goes to it once he sets the table. All right, now he's going to double up. Probably go further up here would be my guess. Yep, fouled off. Now he's got him sped up. Once you have him sped up, you try to slow him back down. That's what he does. Splitter away, tries to get the chase, doesn't get it, doesn't believe in it, tries to go split again. So I would expect to see a lot more of this 4-seam split, occasional curveball attack versus Lucas. He knows he can get the swing through up and away. That's a tremendous pitch. Third at bat. Starts him with the 4-seam. Gets balled on a strike there. Now he goes back to the cutter and gets the swing and miss. I think he should stay away from cutter. Lucas has had good hacks on cutter both times. The first one, he gets a hit, even though he got it to a good location up and in. And I'm telling you right now, this pitch that he just misses here is very lucky. This is a huge hack. I'd be careful with the cutter to Lucas unless it's off the plate in game number 6 tonight. I think the way to get him out is a combination of more fastballs and splitters and curveballs. I would be careful with the cutter game for strikes to Lucas in this game. And then the last at bat, he ends up striking him out. We just watched it in the 8th inning. This was a masterclass. It's the same strategy. Starts him with something down and down, like something moving down and slow. Goes immediate to the up and in. Can't quite catch it when he starts him off in that slow way. And now the curveball. And that sets him up for the freeze fastball away. So if I'm Lucas, I'm coming into this matchup expecting to get fastballs up and in and splitters down away. You're probably thinking to yourself, what can I cover better? I think he's probably hunting a fastball up and in. So that's why cutter up and in's so dangerous. Fastball up and in's okay if he locates it, but that's what we're looking at there. All right, now all of Vlad's at-bats. We already watched this one once. It ends up with this curveball. It's splitter, 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 curveball. Next at-bat. Since he had been working him all in, he decides to go away. Away cutter. And now they go in fastball. And this time he's all over it. So he was definitely cheating to that in location pretty clearly based on the fact that Yoshi worked him in so often. He wasn't thrown off the scent by that first pitch cutter away. He stayed looking in. So this is what anticipation looks like. This is what cheating on a fastball looks like. You can't hit a 95-mile-an-hour pitch in off the plate if you don't quote-unquote cheat on it. So Vlad's cheating on that pitch there, which was a great approach. And then I think Yoshi kind of learns from that as we move forward. Now he goes away and gets a strike. Now typically that's the honey hole for Vlad on a fastball, is that up and away spot. But since he's cheating in, Yama now knows to go away. Now he's going to go back to that split. And I like split right on right to Vlad because he does have a high ground ball rate and a big-time tendency to smash balls into the ground. But for the most part, it looks like away might be the move after he was so ready for that pitch in. And that's what ends up happening here. He does hit this cutter quite hard, 103.2. However, it's on the ground. They're able to defend it, and they're able to get him out. So they tried inside, then they moved to outside, and then here's the third at-bat. This time starts him with the curveball. He had only seen one curveball prior to that, and that was the strikeout pitch in that first at-bat. Then he goes back to that splitter below, and you can see there's an anticipation. You don't swing at this pitch if you're not looking for something there. So all those splitters in got Vladdy's attention for sure in this game. We'll see if that comes back around today. Another split, hits it into his own situation. Yoshi goes to slider, which would have worked if Will Smith caught this properly. It's probably a strike. But that's also Yamamoto holding back a pitch the entire game, which is impressive. All right, back to the heater. Up in. No swing. This is also an area that they really haven't tried to go to too much, which is the up-in target. Seattle had success with Vlad when they got the ball here. Yoshi didn't try it at all the first time. If he expects Vlad to cheat in, there might be a world in which you see a fastball up and in like this and see if you can't get him to swing at a bad pitch. Doesn't work this time, but that gives him the ability to now retunnel a curveball, which he does, and he gets the weak 37-mile-an-hour ground out. So once again, the trend does hold, though. High fastball, curveball coming after it. So if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm hunting that sequence. As soon as I see a high fastball, to me, I might be hunting curveball after it. But to recap those matchups, I would say Vlad seems to be very aware of the pitch inside. Yoshi made him aware of the pitch inside, so I think I wouldn't be surprised if early in the game he works him mostly away. We'll see if Vlad's ready to drive the ball the other way or not. All right, and then Kirk. Kirk came up in a huge spot in this first inning here, first and third, one out. I thought he had a decent little at-bat. He tried to attack him with splitters and curveballs to get him on his front foot and get him the ground out. Now, I talked a little bit about Kirk and his swing relative to some of the other guys. Everybody in our league these days is trying to stay back, stay back, stay back, stay back. Kirk's not necessarily trying to do that. Kirk's swing is a lot more about going to get the ball. He's got a huge stride forward. Like he goes from back here all the way to up here every time he swings. So that's why, because he has such good bat-to-ball skills, kind of the way to work him is more of the really fast and really slow combination game. So his stride is taking him in and out of timing depending on what he's looking for. and all you want to do is get him off the barrel. Now, in this situation, it's kind of a weird contact. Yoshi's trying to get him on the ground. Kirk's trying to stay inside this pitch and drive it to right, which he kind of does, but it goes right to Freddie. So it's a little bit of an unlucky contact for Kirk, despite probably a pretty good approach. You can see there's all this space over here. That's where he's trying to go. Unfortunately, the ball chewed him up a little bit. So first at-bat gets him with a split. Second at-bat, I believe it's 2 breaking balls away, which I don't recommend this approach to Kirk for Yoshi. I'm surprised that he went to this in this spot in this game. And this was the only run. It was on a sac fly. But I don't like medium speed pitches to Kirk, so I'd much rather him go fastball, split, curveball to Kirk this game. We'll see if he does. Here's what he does the third at-bat, which is a strikeout. First pitch curveball, so he does get back on that plan a little bit. Here's a slider. And he gets the swing and miss. So maybe slider for Chase. I don't like slider in zone, but it looks like Kirk was on an automatic swing approach here, and he comes up empty. Another slider away. This time for a strike. I think if he swings at that, that's bad news. I'd be careful throwing that some more. Curveball seems to be great. He's way out front on curveball. And that's what happens sometimes when you get these big forward moves. You're on fastball timing, so you just have no way of staying back, and you get into this flail motion. So I expect Yoshi to speed him up and then definitely slow him down as much as he can. And then the last at-bat was a 2-pitch out. Let's see. Sinker, which he hadn't showed him the whole game, for a strike, and then another sinker. So, I mean, Yamamoto's so freaking good. I mean, he had the ability to do this a little bit, which in a way I think is beneficial for Game 6. This is not how he's going to pitch Kirk today. He's not going to go right at him with 2 sinkers. Kirk's so good at staying inside the ball. You see the contact he gets on this. This is 101 on a line. This is probably generally a high expected batting average. So this is a victory from Kirk in terms of the process. Obviously, it's an out. But I think you're going to see more of a 4-seam and curveball and splitter approach to Kirk today. So those are the guys that are Vlad and the 2 guys that hit in front and behind him. Varsho's another important element. He has a really hard time with the curveball splitter attack from Yoshi, but maybe he can be smart and lay in the weeds, gets a high fastball, sit on a curveball next, and maybe juice it. So let's look out for that. Now, there was only 1 at-bat between Bichette and Yamamoto, and I expect Bichette to be in there today. Let's see what happened in this 1 at-bat. First pitch cutter, take. Second pitch cutter, swing. So Bo didn't get very much information whatsoever facing Yoshi in this game. He's not going to get 2 cutters in a row, I don't think. He'll probably didn't even see any of his best pitches. So that was also extremely useful for Yamamoto. So not only did he throw a complete game shutout, but he kind of didn't give everybody everything. And so there's still a little bit of an element of unfamiliarity coming into this game. Jimenez, Kiner Falefa. So don't expect Kiner Falefa to get any more at-bats. Clement looked okay, but it was all pretty quick. And then Springer's the big question of whether he's in there. So I think we know what to look for mainly when we're looking at Yamamoto today. How's he going to open the game? What's his early thoughts? Do you attack a similar way? Do you come out kitchen sink this time and then try to figure out what's going to work? We didn't do a poll yet. Maybe I'll throw up a poll on my channel. Good idea. Good idea. Let me do that real quick. Game 6, Jays, Dodgers, start poll. All right, so we'll throw that up real quick. In the meantime, haven't seen confirmation that Springer's in, like a commenter here indicated. Okay, well, we'll wait and see. It's been trending that way, it seems, from the comments that Schneider's made, but, we'll see. So anyway, what are we thinking about Yamamoto? How's he going to come out? What's his pitch mix going to be early? Is there any anticipation of one thing or another by the Blue Jays? Can they find a way to make him throw more pitches? He's been much more efficient than the other guys. And I think the same rule still applies. You want to beat the Dodgers, get Yamamoto out of the game, make their relievers come in and get uncomfortable outs. Make Roberts do something that he's uncomfortable doing. Because otherwise, I think Yamamoto's throwing 120 pitches in this game. So you're going to have to make him seem like the right option is to take him out of this game. And the way you do that, is wearing him out. Foul balls, putting balls in play, probably to the opposite field, finding some holes, laying in the weeds for certain sequences that you're hunting. So high fastball to curveball, or splitter take to low fastball, or trying to hunt a first pitch cutter if you're a lefty and you feel like you might try to get ahead of you that way. There's a number of ways to go about this, but I think they have to be a little bit more advanced in their approach than just see the ball hit the ball, because he's too good. He's honestly too good. All right, now let's go look at Mr. Gausman. Similar to Yamamoto, Gausman's success this postseason comes down to the split. He's thrown 41% splits with a 52% whiff rate. So that's his number one pitch, just like Yoshi in a lot of ways, is the split, although his is slower and has even more whiff on it. 0.56 on the split with a 167 slugging. Now, what are they hitting? They're hitting his sliders. So don't look for him to throw a lot of sliders. They're hitting 500 off of it with a 667 opponent slugging. It is important for him to occasionally throw some sliders, get ahead in the count in other ways. But boy, you don't want them putting any sliders in play. You really, really don't. Sorry, Yusuf, the poll is only viewable on my YouTube channel. If you're watching on MLB's channel, you probably won't see the poll right now. The trumpet player is Mr. Miles Davis back here. Miles is always watching this show, always. All right. In fact, Gausman's splitter has the third lowest opponent average of any pitch type in a single postseason since pitch tracking began in 2008. So that is Kyle Hendricks with an 0.36 on his changeup for the 2016 World Series champion Cubs. Christian Javier, which this is an absurd stat, 0.37 on his four-seamer in 2022. You just don't see people have this much success with a four-seam fastball, honestly. You just don't. You just don't. That's insane. And then Gausman with that 0.56 on the splitter. Valdez curveball, Wheeler curveball, Rich Hill fastball are also on this list. Gausman has punched out 117 batters on his split this season. That's insane. 117 just on the split? Fifth most by any pitch type in the majors, including the postseason. What's that list look like? Christopher Sanchez, 139 on changeup. Tarek Skubal, 128 on changeup. That's fantastic. Framber Valdez, 121 on curveball. Dylan Cease, 119 on slider. Gausman, there's that 117 on split. And Sale, 116 on slider. I always find it interesting when you get a huge amount of strikeouts on one pitch type. This is like Patrick Corbin back in the day. Slider in the dirt, slider in the dirt, slider in the dirt. Like 200 strikeouts on sliders in 1 year. Favorite Miles album, Pitches Brew, which is a good pun there, which I like very much, off of the real name. He seemed like he used the slider against Teo and Julio Rodriguez. So yeah, when Gausman's going to use his slider, he's looking for the proper moments. So he's looking for a righty. He's looking for a guy taking. So a guy who takes early sliders or will chase slider off the plate are really the only times he's thinking about throwing his slider at all. Otherwise, he doesn't want to throw it because he doesn't want you to hit it. It's really a distant third pitch for him. It's not like a Savage where we've seen the slider come back into play and be the dominant pitch. That's not going to happen for Gausman. It's going to be fastball or it's going to be split, no matter what. And here's also Kind of Blue, which is Yusuf Kind of Dodger Blue, because Kind of Blue is probably the most famous Miles album, and Kind of Dodger Blue is a good pun off of that. For tonight, of course. Of course, the Blue Jays are also Kind of Blue Jays. Anyway, there's all sorts of things. Los Angeles Dodgers were 1-8 against the split in Game 2, which was a Freddie Freeman double. It's the only hit the Dodgers have had against the split in the World Series. Postseason versus the split, Dodgers are 6 for 34 with a 176 average. Obviously, it's gotten worse in the postseason and the World Series because they faced you Savage, and he was just crushing them with splits. And Gausman as well in Game 2. The amazing part about game 2, though, was mostly his four-seamer. His four-seamer was 59.8%, and they went 2 for 15 off of it. So maybe they were anticipating split, used his four-seam to great effect. You know, that's the thing. When you're facing split, when you're facing Kevin Gausman, you're basically getting not a full 50-50 chance, but close to a 50-50 chance between a fastball and a splitter. So if that's the case, what are you hunting? Are you hunting the pitch that you think is going to be in the zone more, the pitch that you can hit more? I think it gives you a big opportunity to sit on one thing or the other, because it's very rare that he's going to come out and throw 5 fastballs in a row against you or 5 splits against you. He might, but I think you have a little bit of an opportunity against Gausman to sit on one thing or the other. I think that's fair. Okay. It was Gausman's highest four-seam usage of the postseason. Dodgers batters were hitless in the 13 at-bats against the pitch until the home run. Will Smith and Max Muncy both homered. His four-seam usage by start in the postseason. This was by far the highest. He was close to 50 in ALCS Game 1 and ALDS Game 1. But then when he came back in CS Game 5, he went much more to the split. Let's see if he follows suit this time around, whether he goes to more split because it's the second matchup between him and the Dodgers, or whether he continues along with it. He used the fastball well to set up the split, something he'll need to do in Game 6. He threw a first pitch strike four-seamer to 19 of the 24 batters he faced. All right. So that was Game 2, which I think was, Saturday night? Yeah. Now that we have some better tables, because this all just got updated, this is important to note. First pitches, and so you're looking for ambushes, right? He threw 19 fastballs on the first pitch of the at-bat, for 15 of them strikes. If I'm the Dodgers, I am hoping that continues, because that's something I can work with. I can hunt fastballs, be on time for fastballs, and maybe clip this dude. If he's going to mix it up more first pitch and throw more sliders and splitters, I can't do that as much. But I think the Dodgers are going to come out hunting the fastball, and that's why the quality of the split is so important, and the location of the fastball in this game for Gausman. He's facing a team who just saw him. That definitely matters big time, but I really think it's interesting that first pitch fastball situation. And also, he doesn't only spam the top of the zone. He's big on throwing down and away to lefties with the four-seam to set up the split, either down or off. He even likes to throw down and away four-seams occasionally to righties early in that bat to set up a split tunnel, but also be able to keep that high four-seam window open for chase, since they hadn't seen it yet. All right, here was a double that Freeman hit on the split. Now, you're going to see it's not a great swing, but it's also a great swing because he finds a way to get in and around this split, or out and around this split, and kind of poke it over first base for a double. So this is why sitting on a split's not always the best idea in the world, because the majority of them are going to be in tough-to-hit locations. Gausman wants to live in this region with splits to lefties. A little bit off the plate and definitely below the plate. These aren't great pitches to hit. So if you're going to be hunting a split, you're looking for it obviously a lot more in the middle. You're looking for it to be in this area. You can see where this ball is when Freddie hits it. It's way down in the yellow. So if you're looking for a split, you're looking for something to pop up and in, which makes it tough if then you're going to swing at a fastball up and in and probably not cover it. So that's why I would expect them to hunt fastballs, especially considering he's thrown so many of them first pitch. All right. So let's watch some of the strikeouts, and then we'll get to the 2 home runs that actually happened. See, there's that split to Teoscar. I mean, this is just not a pitch you want to swing at. You have to do your absolute best not to chase this, but it's really hard when you locate something down. Slider down, fastball down. Once he gets the tunnel set down, really, really hard to lay off this pitch. So that's why I think a lot of the opportunity early in the count is with being aggressive, and late in the count actually finding a way to be patient. And if Gausman's going to strike you out looking with a splitter, you have to kind of deal with it. Why is split outside against lefty more effective than split inside and versus righty in general? It's not, but it is more effective than a lefty down in. And I'll just show you really quickly, just like if you're just looking at a batter in the box. It's pretty hard to throw a good splitter down here. It would work if you get it down in here, but it's a fine line. Like if you miss even just a little bit higher with your split, this is a great pitch to hit to a lefty. Whereas with the righty, I mean, if you're going on the outside, like all of this is safe. But let's be honest, this is also safe. Like the outside corner is also safe. So you just have more margin for error when going away to a lefty. They're also quite effective versus righties. I think it's a little bit of a misnomer that they're better versus lefties, but you see a little bit of why. You have a little bit more margin for error versus a lefty, and you get a lot of reaching. With righties, you're not getting as much reach on the split if it's coming in as well as down to them, but you can get a lot of chase below the zone, and it's a pitch they don't typically see a ton, so that gives it a lot of effectiveness as well. All right, here's a strikeout versus Edman. This one's a four-seam. Kind of just down and away. Pretty good pitch to hit, but when you've seen a bunch of splitters, the four-seam will beat you. So this is showcasing the ability to get you on something slow and then finish you hard. All right, here's some more strikeouts. Teoscar on a split. Again, he catches you with a split looking. I think you tip your cap. I think that's a good take by Teoscar. He doesn't even argue it. He just walks right off. But ultimately, he's not trying to get you... he's not trying to get you out in the zone with this pitch. He's trying to get you to swing. So I think you take this pitch, you live with it if you're Teoscar. This is a happy accident for Gausman. Muncy, he's going to get him with a split. See, there's that down in one. It's quite effective if you can get it there. But there's also another hidden reason why sometimes it doesn't work and why you don't get as much chase. When this pitch comes out, it's also inside. You can see it's like the trajectory of it's like headed in here. And that gives them one more reason to maybe not swing. And so they might just luck out and say they think the ball's in. And even when it runs back to the plate, the fact that it's low saves them. And then they, it's fine. They just take it. And then they keep it moving. But if it's away, the odds are the ball popped in the strike zone a little bit more. So you have to honor it all the way to the, all the way to the hitting zone. And that's why you get a little bit more chase because guys are generally a little bit more, going for it because it's in the zone and then it pops out. So that's why I think the down and in's a little different. However, Gausman's showing if you locate it, you might be able to get a swing at it and they're not going to hit it either. So the location's super key with that pitch. Here's a strikeout versus Kike. It's also on a splitter. And that time he looked like he was on the fastball. He got fooled by this ball popping a little bit higher and he's way out front. So when you see big misses like that, it's typically because a guy was guessing on the wrong pitch. But I've been an advocate saying I do think that you have to guess a little bit on Gausman. He's giving you an opportunity to at least make an educated guess because it's basically 50-50. So at least I like that aspect of it. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Okay. Now here are the two homers. So the two homers, actually, let's watch this whole seventh inning. Freeman comes out and hits a splitter first pitch. How hard he hit that? 103.4 at 39. So what did I say? There's an opportunity to do some ambushing. There's an opportunity to hunt a pitch and maybe you get it. This would be the split you're looking to get if you were in ambushing a split mode. You're looking for it to pop a little bit higher in the zone, like kind of up near your eye level where you can see it, and then kind of come down into the middle, and this is the pitch you would whack. So even though he's out here, you see the Dodgers are hunting one thing or another here and not just trying to get yo-yoed back and forth between fast and slow, which I ultimately think is the right approach. And then Will Smith gets enough heaters where he commits to the heater. If you watch this whole at bat, fastball in, ball. Fastball down, strike. Fastball down, ball. Fastball down, away. So this is ultimately he allowed Will Smith to look for a fastball. I think this was a little bit of a strange dynamic for me where Gausman spams fastballs, but eventually it catches up with him. And this is also, this gave me so much insight. Number one, it's bad pitching by Gausman in terms of giving a guy an opportunity to cheat on your pitch. Whereas if he threw the split and he's cheating on a fastball, he's not going to touch it. But it also made me a little concerned about Will Smith. Will Smith missed a lot of pitches middle in this at-bat and middle away, which are typically pitches he likes, and then hits a pitch that typically would be impossible to hit. So if this is where his swing is grooved at, way up and in, or in off the plate, then I don't love the way Will Smith is swinging it, and they should just keep him away, and then split off of that. So in the matchup today, I expect Gausman to pitch Will Smith away, and it'll be up to Will Smith to drive the ball that way. And we'll see if he can do it. And then the other home run was Muncy. So let's watch the at-bat with Muncy. Four-seam middle, he fires on that, so looking for a four-seam there. Looks like he's calling for time here. If you watch Muncy's mouth, you see Muncy's mouth moving. Time. Doesn't get it and swings. Then he immediately turns to the umpire and says something. So it looks like he was trying to get time here. Yeah, he wanted time out there. Didn't get it, but he was definitely looking fastball. So the Dodgers, I think, tipped their hand a little bit as this game went on. Not tipped their hand, but they did what they needed to do to make the adjustment. This ended up paying off with a huge Game 2 win. But Muncy clearly selling out for fastball this whole at-bat. Gausman sees it, but doesn't execute this splitter, which would have got him. Then he goes back to the fastball. Muncy never came off of it, knowing he's going to get them eventually. And just a tremendous swing to the opposite field. So generally, guessing is not a good idea at the plate. But you're facing a dude with basically 2 pitches. I have no problem sitting on one pitch in this game and making him spam the other pitch the whole time. If the whole lineup just commits to an approach, whether they're laying in the weeds for one pitch or the other, I promise you they're going to get some pitches to hit, and then it'll be up to them to execute. So that's kind of what we're looking at coming into the game tonight for the Dodgers approach versus Gausman. I'm wondering if Dave Roberts is going to keep the lineup the same. I've mentioned I'd love to see Mookie ahead of Shohei, but I don't think they're going to do that. It looks like they might be committed to the lineup change he just made. Otherwise, it looks like they're kind of waffling off of their thought process every other day. But I just don't know. And if I were the one who was hunting a pitch to hit in this game, it would have to be the fastball. 71% zone rate on the fastball last game and only 28% on the split. So unless he can kind of get more splitters in the zone early when guys are looking for fastballs, he's giving them an opportunity to hunt first pitch fastball. He threw 19 of them to start off the at-bats in game number 2, which we mentioned, 15 for strikes. So, man, 15 dudes had a first pitch fastball. Now, I promise not all 15 of them were great pitches to hit, but at least 8 or 9 of them were. And so it comes down to the execution of that, and then Gausman and Kirk just being super aware of what that is and constantly trying to buck that trend. Oh, they're looking for fastballs, we got to go splitters. We're looking for splitters, we got to go fastballs. I know it's not quite 50-50, but I'm ignoring the sliders. I know that you want to hit a slider, but he's not going to throw you enough to hunt them. So if you hit a slider, it's going to be a happy accident because you're looking fastball and he throws you a slider down the middle. But for the most part, the only guys getting sliders are going to be like a Will Smith or a Teoscar or a Kike. Nobody else is getting one. So I'm still dead set on four-seamer split and hunting one or the other. I think this is kind of the game in a nutshell. What is the quality of these first pitches from Gausman, and how aggressive are the Dodgers in hunting one of the other and attacking and executing when they get it? I think that's kind of the game in terms of beating Gausman. I think it's a little more complicated with Yoshi because he's got more weapons and his splitter is more of a contact pitch as well. But I think with Kevin, it's very simple, man. I'm eliminating slider completely. I'm just looking for four-seam and split. Yeah, that would be my plan. I mean, he knows that slider's not the pitch he wants to throw, so he's only trying to sneak those in there for free strikes, or for maybe a guy to swing at a ball. He's never throwing a challenge slider in the zone that he's expecting a swing on. So considering you only want to swing at strikes, Look at what he throws over the plate. In the last game, it was overwhelmingly fastballs. So anyway, that would be my overall approach in this game. I think it's a sound approach. Doesn't mean it's going to work. Gausman can definitely flip the script. He could go heavy split here. He could choose to locate his fastball really well, and that could work as well. So, yeah. And Mookie needs to start going after the first pitch. Now, I've talked a lot about the Mookie dynamic. They have pitched Mookie Betts basically the same way the entire series, and it's the way that I pitched in my entire career, which is just outside, 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 outside. Maybe you wait for him to show you that he's going to completely dive for the outside corner, and then you switch it up. But it's a no-fly zone middle into Mookie. Pitches middle in, he's been all over them. That's a good slider. But again, he painted it away. Didn't want to throw it for a strike. My wife is saying we need lunch. I agree. I'm going to be off in a minute, Bun. See, here's the slider, but again, it's not an account where he wants it for a strike. Now they go in, but he still throws it away and gets the out. This would have been a dumb pitch. I don't think this was well, I guess they're more so going up. That's up middle. That's not an in target. I understand up middle, but I don't want anything. I really don't want anything in here to Mookie. This is so dangerous. He's so quick. Everything's pull side. So away, away, away. Look for that. And yes, I think Mookie should be aggressive on first pitches, but he's looking for the right thing, right? He's looking for the right type of pitch. Also, maybe wouldn't be a bad time for him to consider actually hitting a low line drive to right field and taking a single, especially if they do move him in front of Shohei. See, here's another heater away. Tries to pull an outside pitch, rolls it over. Can't give up many runs. Mookie Betts in a tie game in the sixth. You feel that? Is that raised? I don't know what the Dodgers' offensive process looks like, but I mean they're well aware of how they got pitched, So we'll see what their adjustments back are. See, away gets another pop up. He's just having a really hard time keeping his bat head not drooping on anything up or anything away. This pitch is actually middle in, so that's what he wants to hit. But you see how his bat's scooping. So really, it's this area, this down in area, which is dangerous. You can still pitch a little bit up. But I wouldn't throw this pitch more than once. Even though he gets away with it here, this was a little sketchy. And then the last at bat he walked. But I'm pretty sure from Varland it's going to be everything away as well. Yeah, knuckle curve away. Knuckle curve on the black. Knuckle curve off the plate away. Any relievers on the edge of being overexposed? I think Varland's overexposed completely for the Jays. I don't think Bassett is. He's been super efficient. He's got enough pitches to not be overexposed. But I definitely think Varland is. I think Fluharty might be a little overexposed versus Shohei. Shohei's seen him enough times. But this is a good question. Let me just take a quick look at their roster, both teams' rosters. Fisher hasn't pitched in a while, but he's not one of the ones they want in leverage. Hoffman hasn't run into any trouble, so I don't think he's very much overexposed. Varland, I think, is. Fluharty, I think, is a little bit. Dominguez, I could see maybe a little bit. He's pitched an awful lot, but his have gone pretty efficiently. So the Jays are in a decent spot with overexposure, except for Varland. On the Dodger side, I mean, they've seen a lot of Treinen. They don't have anybody that's overexposed, the Dodgers. Maybe Banda and Treinen a little bit. But Enriquez, it's just a matter of who they're even going to trust. I think it'll be Sheehan and Sasaki and maybe Klein, maybe another starter out of the pen. But I think you're going to see if they have if Yoshi's going to throw up to 120 pitches today, if not more, and then Sasaki. They want to go Yamamoto, Sasaki. This will be an all-Japanese attack today from the Dodgers, in my opinion. I don't think we'll see Lauer unless maybe they're way ahead. Lauer way ahead, possibly. It's a bit odd that Sasaki has only pitched once through 5 games, given the narrative. He is one of the very few trusted relievers. Well, they got boat raced in game 1. Yoshi threw a complete game in game 2. He pitched in game 3, right? And then game 4, they were losing, so he never had a lane to go in. And game 5, same thing. So I think it's okay because Dave knows that at some point he's going to need Roki to get like 6 to 9 outs like he did in the other game. Guys are talking about Mookie losing weight. You know, he needs every bit of weight he can get. He doesn't have a lot to begin with. All right, that's going to be it for today's show. Enjoy Game 6. This was a good stream. I think we are ready. I think we know about both starters and what the potential offensive strategies against them are. To reiterate one more time, with Yamamoto, it's just a question of how aggressive they want to try to be early, what they try to anticipate. Do they look for certain sequences that he went to a lot last time, like the fastball up, curveball? Does Vlad hunt pitches on the inner third because he got quite a few of them in that first game? Do they try to be a little more patient with him? Do they try a different tack? So those are all the questions with Yoshi. With Gausman, it's what are they going to hunt? What can they execute hitting the pitch that they're looking for in the moment that it pops up? On both sides, I think the Blue Jays have a few more relievers that they'll trust, but not a ton. And the Dodgers, I think they'd like to go Yamamoto to Roki, and that would be about it. I do think one question is the Dodger lineup. Will it continue to be the same as it was last game with Will Smith in that spot, moving Mookie back, or will they flip that around? Does Pajes get back in there, or do they go completely crazy and go Kim or, you know, somebody else, Dean? I don't know. Rojas, to find a way to get him in there, I don't know. But they're searching for offense, and realistically, I think it is very important who hits at the bottom of the order because they need to get on base to roll it back over for the top. So those are the main things we're looking out for. Tonight could be the night that the Blue Jays bring home their 3rd title. If not, we'll have a really fun Game 7 either way. We'll talk about it tomorrow at some point. I will have a stream probably in the nighttime. So if the game is happening, there'll be a Baseball After Dark. And even if the game's not happening, maybe I'll do a Baseball After Dark to recap. But we will figure that out as we go, as tomorrow's Saturday and tonight's Halloween. So enjoy your Halloween tonight. Enjoy Game 6 tonight. Thank you, everybody that hung out with me today. And yeah, check my channel. There'll be an upcoming at some point. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. See you guys later. Bye-bye.